For help with that, we're going to bring in accounting professor at Montclair State University, Dan Geltrude, and then here in studio, business analyst Krysia Lenzo. Good morning to you both. Okay, let's just jump right into those markets. They finished the week mixed and are, of course, closed today in observance of President's Day. All right, Dan, let me start with you. So 11% of the U.S. housing markets experiencing declines in price, including San Francisco and San Jose, and they're down 6%. Now, that's according to the National Association of Realtors. So, Dan, why are home prices falling in some markets, and where can the best deals be found?
Well, when you look at real estate, it's all about three things, right? Location, location, location. So you're going to have different pricing depending on the location around the country. With many places, what you're seeing is not necessarily bargain prices. What we're seeing is prices that were overpriced, and now there's a market adjustment because the market always determines what the right pricing is. So some of these places around the country that are seeing drops are Anaheim, LA, Boulder, but again, not necessarily bargains, just lower than they were.
Interesting. So they were overpriced to begin with. Okay, thank you for breaking that down, Dan. Let's switch gears a little bit. Meta now testing a new subscription service that allows Facebook and Instagram users to pay to get verified. Of course, that's very similar to Twitter's new verification process. Krysia, let me turn to you. What do you make of this decision from Meta?
I think this is a great decision. Mark Zuckerberg is taking a cue from Elon Musk, as you mentioned. And for people who are constantly getting deactivated by Instagram and Facebook or impersonated, this is excellent because it provides an extra layer of verification. So you even get customer service. If you can believe that, you have someone to actually speak to if your account gets deactivated, or at least we hope. So for $11.99, a lot of businesses and people who might really rely on Instagram and Facebook could get their account back.
I think that's fantastic because I've actually had a handful of accounts created to impersonate me, and I could not get verified by Instagram, so I may have to pay for this. That might be a fantastic thing. Dan, let me turn to you now. So we just talked a little bit about Twitter, but let me go specifically into Twitter. So now they will restrict text messages as two-factor authentication method to only those paid subscribers. Elon Musk claimed the company actually loses $60 million annually to scammers, and that will potentially curb the issue. So, Dan, will non-subscribers be willing to go through the extra hassle?
Well, that really remains to be seen. Look, I think a lot of people out there really expect security with their accounts. And even though it's certainly a revenue grab to pay for these authentications, right, with your check mark and so on, and now you're talking about whether you can get it by text or you're going to have to use another authentication. Will most people do it? They probably will. But I just don't like the fact that you have to pay for additional security that really should be built in.
Absolutely. Yeah, I opened up my Twitter this weekend and I got a notification that says you will no longer be able to use the text messaging as the two-factor authentication. And it kind of freaked me out a little bit. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Let's switch gears. So Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota want to ban the sale of gas lawnmowers, leaf blowers, chainsaws, and I even saw Zambonis as well over in Minnesota. So this move is the latest in the state's green agenda. Krysia, will the electric alternatives cut it with customers?
I think at this point we know it's not going to cut it with customers, especially people who are reliant on these industries to really make a living. So we know it's not going to work. No matter how hard they push this agenda on the American public, it's gotten to the point where it's ridiculous. No gas stoves, come on.
I mean, yeah, it's the gas stoves. Now you can't even have, gas lawnmowers. I mean, it's pushing very, very far.
Yes.
Let's talk a little Disney. So over 2,300 Disney employees urged the company to abandon the plan of returning to in-person work for 4 days a week. Dan, what do you think Disney will do?
Well, I think Bob Iger, the CEO who's back at Disney, to say, listen, we want you to come back to work 4 days a week in the office. I think that's a fine message to send and a requirement. However, will it work? Well, you have 2,300 employees that are pushing back on that. So here's what's great about America. The market will determine. If these people can get jobs elsewhere, well, yeah, then it's easy to say, I'm not coming back, I'll go somewhere else. On the other hand, if Disney can replace these workers, then they're going to say, that's the rule. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, it just seems like nobody wants to go back to the office nowadays following the pandemic. Finally, we've talked a lot of social media. Let's talk TikTok now. So an ER nurse and TikTok creator has turned her side gig into a full-time business, an online shop for study sheets. She's selling her notes for more than, get this, $2 million in profits last year alone. Krysia, how did she do this?
That's all the beauty of the internet and why we do need verification and why we need that extra level here because TikTok is a business. Whether we like it or not, it's real. So by putting your business out there as this ER nurse did, you can make, for lack of a better word, a killing, and you can really go far in your career and make your name get known.
Absolutely. Dan Geltrude, Krysia Lenzo, thank you so much for coming on this morning. Really, really appreciate the insight.
Thank you.
All right.